Afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. Time is 1:01 p.m. Special meeting agenda to continue our fiscal year 23 budget deliberations. Today, in this hour, we have the prosecutor, that's Barry McHugh, calling the meeting to order. Attending Commissioners Duncan Brooks and Filios. Any changes to the agenda? None. Prosecutor Office Budget Review, potential action item. Barry, go right ahead, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners. Barry McHugh for the record. I'll probably let Sylvia speak to the HR budget, but I think that starting off with the easiest one, juvenile diversion portion is largely unchanged from last year. Probably the requests that we've seen or that the Commissioners can see is essentially some movement in AT levels on 6 actually attorneys, and I can speak to those specifically. And then as far as B budget goes, it is largely either an adjustment to reflect projected increases based on inflation. What do you say percent? 7%. 7%, to just reflect what we kind of anticipate we're all going to see. So it's essentially the same budget with those adjustments, and maybe moving a little bit of money around to different accounts. But aside from that, the A budget adjustments are essentially to reflect, at least with 3 of the felony attorneys who have been here 4 to 5 years, have been doing felonies for at least a couple of years with no real advancement opportunities, and as they've progressed in their caseloads, the complexity, the kinds of things that they're handling, and just generally with especially the advent of body cameras and additional technology, our cases have become more difficult just from the fact that there's so much more video evidence to go through and evaluate. But so there are 3 positions that are currently at an AT4 that I'm asking to be bumped up to AT5. There's an AT3, and that's an attorney who basically supervises the misdemeanor division, or I'm sorry, not misdemeanor, but the juvenile division. They kind of run independently over at the JJC, and I rely on that attorney to keep track of all the cases over there and the assignments, the court calendar, and that kind of thing. And then I've got 2 attorneys who are either a misdemeanor moving into felony, or the other position has been a felony position that I'm asking to be bumped up from a 3 to a 4 to basically adjust for the complexity of the kinds of cases that he's going to be working on. And that's a little bit, this last one is a little bit different in that this person was hired with, I want to say, 3 years of experience at a prosecutor's office. We had an AT3 available. He also has 5 years of private practice experience. And so his advancement in terms, you hire somebody not knowing exactly what you're going to get. I mean, you do it with your best estimate, based on interviews and reference checks and all that sort of stuff. But until you get somebody in place, you don't know what their capacity is, their work ethic, really, until they get on site. And this particular attorney has done everything that we had hoped that he would be able to, and is going to move very quickly into a more advanced felony caseload. So I know the focus is, the board has indicated the focus is going to be on retention. That's what I've tried to focus on with these requests, and based on sort of the complexity and the responsibilities that they're being asked to maintain. And in a way, the reason that, especially at the felony level, this is happening is because I have 5, maybe 6 attorneys who've been in my office a long time in the felony side, and they're all really exceptional trial attorneys. And I certainly, and so I'm blessed and cursed by the reality that we've been able to keep those attorneys on staff and happy. But as a result, there's no opportunity for those attorneys who are advancing in their own assignments to move up an AT level to reflect again, the complexity of the work that they're being asked to handle.
Okay. So we're dealing with, if I understood you correctly, you've got 3 felony attorneys that you want to take to an AT5.
Correct.
You have one that you want to take to a supervisor level over
Correct.
the juvenile division, and another from an AT3 to a 4.
Correct, and then another from a 2 to a 3.
Okay.
So 6 total.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so obviously this is for the 23 budget.
Correct.
Okay. So Sylvia, let me ask you this question, and it doesn't really only pertain to the prosecutor. As we go through these, and these requests are being made, and you've got the placeholder for 6 mil, are these basically, let me phrase this correctly, will these changes factor into the money that's being set aside?
We would have to add additional funds for
Okay,
those
that's-
changes countywide.
Right. So that's my concern in general, which is, okay, so you've got this placeholder at 6 mil, and it can be give or take, and I understand that. But as individuals, as EOs come forth and make these requests for additional whether it be additional personnel or increases or whatever, that basically causes a recalibration of the $6 million. Or we wind up decrementing it by that amount.
Right, and what we can do is we can look at it as you're approving, saying, okay, it looks like this is gonna move forward. We can send the information to Nancy, and she
Nancy.
can update our numbers for us. And then you'd have it pretty live with the changes
Okay,
that you're
okay.
approving. We can get that live to you
Okay.
and saying, okay, this is the impact of this.
But these requests are already in the budget. They're just outside of the 6 million.
Yeah, we
That's
would just
correct.
be changing the grades of
Correct.
those individuals and
Right, which will
potentially-
increase that 6
There
million
you
because they're being bumped up, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
So then that goes back to a potential recalculation. Okay. Leslie, Bill, questions?
Not on the A budget, 'cause we're going to go through that pretty in-depth next week. And so I think we can probably make some decisions there. So I rather just focus on B.
Okay, let's take a look
today.
at the B. So we've got, what's our increase on the B? 42,000?
Well, this
That's
is so
just-
I know it kind
Right,
of,
there's the other side.
exactly.
Okay.
So we have civil division and human resources, and then juvenile diversion remain flat, so this is the human
That's
resources.
the HR piece.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to address that?
Sure. Do you want me to review my A budget requests?
Yeah, you can, well, yeah, you can do that right now, just so we're familiar with it when we get into
Sure, I'll
next.
do it real quick. So HR is requesting another HR generalist to handle countywide functions. As you know, we do recruitment, retention efforts, benefits administration, risk management and compliance, employee relations, comp administration, workplace wellness, as well as training and development.
Yep.
And we currently have 4 HR generalists and the director position. When you look at benchmark ratios for staffing HR offices, the standard is you would have 1 HR FTE per 100 employees. So and you just factor in the generalists. So with our 922.48 county authorized FTEs, we would typically, an HR office would be staffed with over 9 staff members. But what we're requesting is 1 additional FTE, and currently we're at 0.43 HR staff to 100 employees. With an additional HR position, the HR to staff ratio would go to 0.54 for every 100 employees. That will help us a lot. As you know, we're doing extensive recruiting. We currently have 116 open positions. I mean, it just keeps growing. So about 12.5% of our positions are open. So we have a request for that. along with the onboarding, getting their equipment and so forth. Our second request, which the board had approved at an HR meeting, is to see, we want to structure our HR positions as HR generalist and senior HR generalist. So the Hay Group, Korn Ferry is reviewing the positions to see how they grade out. So we are asking for reclassification to occur for those positions if Korn Ferry, I keep saying Hay because that's what their name was, if Korn Ferry comes back and said, yes, there's a reclass consideration. And then we have a retirement at the end of the year, so we're asking for 2 months of overlap staffing for an HR generalist, and Dorothy Cross will be retiring. Haven't been able to convince her otherwise, but she will be going, and so we've put in some funds in our budget for that. So that's our A budget request. There's one more A budget request for Employee Service Recognition Awards. That's based on years of service, and currently we budget about $7,500 for that. We are requesting $16,050. It would impact 141 employees, and basically we're pretty much doubling the amount that we would give as incentive for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, and 30 plus years. So that is a request, really looking at it from creating a culture of employee retention and longevity. And then when we get to employee referrals, that's the program that the board has approved, where if an employee refers an applicant to us, they're hired, they successfully complete 6 weeks, they get $250. We are asking that it go to $300, just a little bit of a bump up for 25 awards. And so that amount would go from $6,250 per year to $7,500 per year. And again, it's to incentivize employees to send applicants our way, and hopefully we hire them. And then in terms of our B budget, the increase for HR really is in the advertising line item and recruitment. We're asking for double the amount, from $42,000 to $84,000. Where we use a lot of free resources to advertise, but one that we are trying right now is ZipRecruiter, and they are about $3,000. And what they'll do is they'll focus on 4 positions for us to go out, and they help us recruit individuals in terms of, here's your market, you have a lot of applicants that you can probably recruit from this area. So we are asking for double the budget for recruiting efforts and advertising for these 116 positions, and it just keeps growing, unfortunately. So that overall is HR's budget.
So is that the 42,000?
Yes.
Okay.
So back to Dorothy retiring, do you expect, because she's been here a long time, so would you expect from salary savings in the next budget year, because of the person you hire is probably not going to come in at her wages?
There could potentially be some salary savings. We would at least, I was budgeting a new FTE at a step 6 at market. We'd have to see where we'd hire it. And, you know, depending on where Dorothy ends up with the wage study and so forth, we would potentially hire at least a step 5, maybe 97% of market, because she's at least at market right now.
Okay, so could we take that, approve that 2-month overlap, but yet fund it at 0 with savings, like we did with juvenile detention?
Yes, and then if we didn't have savings, would that be then considered
Just
for
let
the
us-
board?
Sure.
Keep you advised of it?
Yeah,
Okay.
But that with,
Oh, Barry's.
I would love to challenge
Money?
Barry to be 100% full.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't just be HR, it would be
The whole-
the whole aid budget. So,
Okay with that?
The
For the overlap?
approving at 0 and then,
yeah,
yes.
okay, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Because I would bet steak dinner that money would be there, so.
Fortunately, we did receive some good candidates for the opening we have right now. So
Oh, good.
We'll start interviews soon.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to, we want to make sure that that change goes through. Are you okay with
Yes.
approving the overlap at 0?
Bill, you okay? Okay. Is that it for you? Or do we have a CPA? Do we have a CPA?
So that's elected official level. So, Barry, you got
Barry?
money for uniforms?
I kind of wondered what that was. I don't know.
Let me find it.
I might have the number here if I can transfer it. 157001-.3. That's probably too general.
Oh, I see, the $500.
Those are mainly for badges and stuff like that for the new attorneys that we purchase.
Okay.
Badges and then the badge holders.
Oh,
So we just decided to put it into uniform.
so when we hire new deputy prosecutors, we always order them a badge and a badge holder, which they are admonished not to abuse in any fashion.
Sure.
But occasionally, it's nice for them to have it. It's relatively rare, but I think we just sort of paid that out of the budget without an identified line item. And so that's based on the reality that we've had some turnover and anticipate having some expenses in that regard. Put it in that line item.
So when a deputy prosecutor leaves, don't they leave that with you?
Well, no, generally speaking, and has been, first of all, the badge has their name on it.
Oh, okay.
So generally speaking, we take it and affix it to a plaque that we send with them when they
Gotcha.
leave the office.
Okay.
Right.
I have a couple of those, so, yeah. Okay, that's fine. That was just curious because typically you don't wear uniforms, so.
Right.
So your B budget increase is just over 66,000.
Yeah, and so 44 of that,
Oh,
40
44 of
or
that
42 is the.
Sylvia's?
Yeah,
Right.
is the advertising.
Okay, so you've got about, what is it, 22,000 in there. And that is comprised of?
Of the witness payments at 10,000. We've got other witness payments for a different division. Travel and training, 3,000. Another 3,000 for the
Okay, that's not
professional
too bad.
materials, so.
Okay.
I would
Any-
say the majority of it is just inflation increase
Yeah,
adjustments.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions, further questions for Barry?
I think I'm good. We're just probably, at least I will address the A requests on the 14th.
Sure.
Yeah.
So-
So on the 14th, you'll have the results of the wage study for us, is that it?
We'll have an overall projection for you, yes.
Overall projection,
Yeah, so
okay.
the dollars, Nancy's working on it right now for us, and we've asked her to factor in a 6% aging to the numbers we have for today, because the wage study was fiscal year 22 data, so we need to calculate what it would be for fiscal year 23, so you'll get to see that.
Okay.
And then we're factoring the elected officials as well, with a couple scenarios for you to consider.
Okay. Any other questions?
I think I'm good. Like I said, I will address A next week, but I don't see anything in, I mean, I wish advertisement wasn't what it was. But bottom line is, if we don't spend the money, we're not gonna compete. And so the rest of the stuff I think is very reasonable.
So you're comfortable with the 42,000 for advertising?
Well, it's 80,000.
It'll be
80,000.
84,000 in total, but $42,000
Is the
increase. Yes, yes. We're really trying to stay in line this year, but we may have to have discussions with Barry and saying we're gonna need more money, whatever. But we're
Where are
really
you at?
trying to use our free resources as much as each time we advertise.
Where do you advertise?
Okay, our free resources are government jobs, which is part of
Uh-huh.
NeoGov, Indeed has some free through NeoGov. Then we do campaigns, monthly campaigns that do cost us. Department of Labor for Idaho and Washington, Idaho Association of Counties. For Post, we do Idaho and Washington. We do Police One and Police App. International Association of Chiefs of Police for entry level. International Academies of Emergency Dispatchers, NIC and Network Colleges, Idaho State Bar and Free Legal Resources, and then our paid are Indeed, Facebook, featured government jobs, Craigslist, ZipRecruiter. We've tried it a couple times so far because we're like, okay, we've got to with some of our key positions. There's Go Law Enforcement, California Peace Officers, International Association of Chiefs of Police, another. You can
That's
do
fine.
paid and unpaid.
I think we're
There-
good. I think-
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
All right.
It's just trying to get a
Appraisers
sense.
type, resources. So,
Okay, we're good. Public comment? No one on?
Chris, can I mention one thing?
Yes, please.
Barry had asked me to call this out on-call pay. So last year, detectives with KCSO and the prosecutor's office were given amounts for on-call pay that got improperly booked into an employee bonus account, so we didn't catch it until yesterday. It is in their budget, it's just been classified wrong. So the prosecutor's also asking for the same amount last year for on-call pay. That will be addressed with personnel requests next week as well, but I wanted
Right.
to make you aware.
And once again, my stance has not changed. You have exempt employees who are going out all hours of the night, and they're not getting additional pay. So I'm comfortable with keeping that. But once again, we'll,
Okay.
address it in,
Pick it up.
And you'll see the same thing this afternoon with the
sure.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Okay then, so I have 1:23 PM, meeting adjourned. Okay.